week on the Tech ONTAP podcast, we talk about the Cloud Insights functionality called ONTAP Essentials.
Welcome to the Tech ONTAP podcast with Justin Parisi.
I love NetApp.
Oh, yeah.
NetApp. I love this company. Support.
I love NetApp because it's so funny.
Hello and welcome to the Tech ONTAP podcast. My name is Justin Parisi. I'm here in the basement of my house, and with me today I have a couple of special guests on the phone to talk about Cloud Insights. So to do that, we have yossi.weihs. So Yossi, what do you do here at NetApp? How do we reach you?
Hey, Justin. Good to be back here. So I'm in a product management role here at NetApp with the Cloud Insights software as a service offering. And you can reach me either through LinkedIn or at joseph.weihs at netapp.com.
All right. Also with us today, we have Edward Barron. So Edward, or if you go by Ed, we'll call you Ed, or Ted, or Teddy, whatever. What do you do here at NetApp? How do we reach you?
Ed is good. Ted is my son. That's how we differentiate, but it's Edward Barron or Ed Barron. I'm a technical director here at NetApp for observability. So that covers a number of products, but today we're here to talk about Cloud Insights ONTAP Essentials. You can reach me at edward.barron, B-A-R-R-O-N, at netapp.com and ask questions away.
All right. Excellent. We'll include those emails in the blog so people don't have to remember to write them down or anything. So feel free to wait for the link or find the link or whatever. All right. So like I said, we're here to talk about Cloud Insights. And before we start off on the specifics of what we're here to talk about today, Yossi, tell me, what is Cloud Insights?
That's a great question. So Cloud Insights is a software as a service offering from NetApp. And what we do with Cloud Insights is observability and monitoring. So we look at the infrastructure, IT infrastructure. So obviously anything to do with storage, but also everything to do with compute. And that goes from bare metal servers, diverse virtualization such as VMware, and finally Kubernetes, where we have a lot of new innovation coming into service. So what we do with Cloud Insights is, first and foremost, we monitor the environment, meaning we collect a bajillion of metrics and logs from the infrastructure that we monitor. And then we have built-in alerts that can be triggered when things go wrong in the environment. Obviously, everything is super customizable. That's the first level. Next level is optimizing things and, using the metrics that we collect to identify where you can be more efficient. Can I move this workload from all flash to something cheaper, or no, the other way around, maybe tier it to the cloud? There's a whole slew of dashboards and views in reports that can be used to answer these questions. And again, everything's customizable. And finally, we have the secure side of the offering, which focuses on ransomware. And it's all about ransomware detection and response. So we will identify when there's an attack, and we will help you mitigate that attack. I could talk about this for hours, but we're here to talk about something else. Back to you, Justin.
All right, cool. So, like you said, we're here to talk about something else. And what is that something else? What are we here to officially talk about in relation to Cloud Insights?
So I guess, I spoke about a bunch of things around observability and infrastructure, et cetera. And it's super powerful, but it's also really generic. And when I think about the typical NetApp customer that has a good number of storage systems, ONTAP, others as well, but we'll focus on ONTAP today, they really want their monitoring and alerting to be, super tailored to that ONTAP and work really well on that. And that's a place where Ed and I have been collaborating for quite some time now to bring some of that sort of bespoke capabilities of ONTAP into the Cloud Insights platform. Ed, you always say things in a different way, so
that's why we're a team. We're really here as part of the ONTAP Essentials release. So Cloud Insights ONTAP Essentials is a portion of Cloud Insights that's kind of set aside and dedicated to you, the ONTAP storage admin. It's a set of navigation. It's a set of built-in monitoring and dashboards and other visualization. just for the storage administrator to kind of help you understand and manage your environment. As Yossi said, it's built on top of Cloud Insights, so everything is customizable. All the monitoring and alerting is, that's in there. Everything that we do is stuff that, a user could have done themselves with the tools that were available to them, but we've done for you to give you an out-of-box experience that is just delightful. Our focus has been, to bring a lot of the popular workflows that are in our on-prem tools to the cloud. So if you're a user of one of those on-prem tools, you're going to start to find some of your favorite things here in an as-a-service-based product, which is great. That means you don't have to dedicate on-prem resources available anymore. So you don't have to set up a server. You don't have to maintain the operating system on that server for security patches, which come out almost every day. We handle those for you, all in the cloud-based platform. With modern versions of ONTAP, you don't need any kind of an agent on-prem to push that data out. ONTAP can connect up directly to Cloud Insights. It can send its data straight there for you in a very secure way, and you're up and running and monitoring in a hurry. So yeah, that's what we're here to talk about. We're excited about this new visualization, this new customization, and this new UI for storage administrators in Cloud Insights, and sharing that with folks is something we're really excited to do.
Ed, when you talk about all these on-prem applications, there's really one that we're sort of targeting, and that is the ActiveIQ Unified Manager, right?
Great tool, does a lot of great things, but you've got to maintain your own footprint. You got to go through the upgrade process. We have customers who are running, 400, 500 systems out there on it. Cloud Insights is unlimited scaling. We have customers with over 1,000 clusters on it. This is the cloud alternative to that product, but this cloud alternative has got a lot of really cool features that we think are compelling, and you may want to run it instead.
And as a cloud alternative, just because you mentioned scale, with Cloud Insights, it's not a lift and shift to the cloud of taking on-prem software and running it in the cloud. We have re-architected our previous generation monitoring tools. So we're running in a complete cloud architecture, and a typical Cloud Insights SaaS instance runs hundreds of customers using hundreds of servers in our hosting environment. So it's literally scale free, right? As a customer, scale is no longer a concern.
That's one of the great things about bringing these features forward on Cloud Insights. Cloud Insights is not a new product. It's been around for a long time, but the ONTAP Essentials of it, the new the out-of-box experience, the pre-crafted dashboards and visualizations and monitors and alerting that we have, those are all new. So it's like a wonderful UI on top of a platform that a lot of folks have been using for a long time. That's tried and tested and true. So yep, it's built for the cloud, native for the cloud, and these features that you have are the features that we brought to you in other forms, but now we're making sure that you can have them in a way that you don't have to maintain them. You've always got the current features there. We should probably talk about some of those features. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. But first, let me ask you a question about when you would choose one or the other, right? So my understanding is ONTAP Essentials is probably going to be something that you pay for or license. Is that accurate?
Well, go ahead, Yossi. Actually, that's a good one for you.
Yeah. So we have a number of different editions of Cloud Insights. And yes, we have quite a few customers that are using the paid editions of Cloud Insights for use cases that I had mentioned earlier, things beyond the ONTAP monitoring, reporting, chargeback, showback. However, we also have what we call the basic edition, which as of a couple of months ago, is now included in the entitlement for the premium support offerings that NetApp has. And there's a lot more detail there that's published on various both customer-facing, partner-facing documentation around that. But I would say the vast majority of our customers now are entitled to use Cloud Insights Basic Edition, and that's included with their paid premium support offering. So I'd say practically everybody in the ONTAP customer base can access it now.
And most of the features we're going to talk about today are available in that basic edition. So that's pretty important.
Yeah, that actually is, because that was going to be my next question, right? Because I mean, Active IQ is free, but you do have to manage it. So, freedom isn't always free, right?
Active IQ UM is included with your purchase, yes.
Yes.
But you do have to dedicate your own equipment and your own. You got to manage upgrades and security patches and all the things that come with an ONTAP system. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, it's free, but you do have to manage the infrastructure there. So I guess my question was going to be if Cloud Insights was a fully paid thing. I didn't realize there was a basic edition, right? And I don't know how many people.
It's as Yossi said, that's just come out recently, and it's a wonderful opportunity for our customers to give Cloud Insights a try. Cloud Insights has some great additional features that go above and beyond just managing ONTAP, right? The ability to look at your Kubernetes environment and go end to end from the PV to your volume and understand what's going on in between in terms of latency, IOPS, throughput, all that kind of stuff. There's, knowing that your PV is going to run out of space as opposed to your volume is going to run out of space. There's a lot of wonderful stuff that's available as you start to get to adjacent technologies to ONTAP. So good to take a look at. But our basic product offering today, ONTAP Essentials, has a lot of compelling features in it that are new and exciting. One of the fun new ones that's out there is carbon counting, or whatever however you want to call it. You can monitor your ONTAP systems for power consumption. All right. So if you're a customer who's looking to be really green and understand where your power is going, or which systems, which maybe older legacy systems are consuming more power than some of the newer systems, or all that information is available in Cloud Insights today, included in the free version.
So that's pretty interesting. So how does that work? Like, how do you monitor power consumption? Is it tying into a UPC somewhere, or is there a counter in ONTAP that does this? Like, how are you calculating all that?
That's a good question, and the answer is a little bit different based on where we look in time. So we get a feed from ONTAP one of two ways. If it's a modern version of ONTAP, it can be pushed directly up into Cloud Insights. If it's an older version of ONTAP, there's an on-prem agent which can collect data and push it up into Cloud Insights. Either way, those metrics are available from ONTAP through the APIs that it exposes. And they're collected from those. They're pushed up to ONTAP itself. We get the metrics. When we look at an individual box, some of the older boxes, they compute that information before the power supply. Most of the newer ones are consuming it on the right-hand side of the power supply. So we don't have to worry about power supply efficiency, or we can calculate that out, show it to you. NetApp publishes a number of those things as well. But we do measure it at the shelf, at the node, at the drive level, all those different places. The box itself is instrumented. And so we're collecting those metrics. And then we can look at them over time and see how they're doing. If you want to know, as your IOPS go up, does your power go up? Well, you can see all that visually on the system. If you want to know what your highest power consuming nodes are, again, we've got that data available there. It's pretty cool. It's nice to get a sense of where your power is going.
And if I was to add just a little bit, is that it's the normalizing of the data, making the data accessible across your whole footprint. So if, some of our larger customers have multiple generations of NetApp systems in their environment, and enabling them to compare them and see the cost of an IOP on, an old system versus a new system, right? Very valuable to make sure that it is an apples to apples comparison.
Right. We have some customers that look at things like cold storage and they say, hey, maybe I want to send that somewhere else, right? Because I don't need to be spending all this power for data that's never accessed. Those are the kinds of decisions that we're helping you with in Cloud Insights.
Does it do any sort of like dollar calculation to kind of give you an idea of how much money you're spending for this power, or is that something that you kind of got to do on the back of a napkin yourself?
We have a lot of people asking us for that.
And the reality is that it's easy enough to do it on your own, because everything that you display in a dashboard in CI is customizable. So you can upload your electrical rates, sort of enter them into the system, and then use that to generate dollar numbers. We don't do it natively because every customer's situation with regards to their utility rates and how the utilities charge them is different. And so at this point, it's up to the customer to bring that together.
So Cloud Insights can track the cost of the storage tier. That's a feature that's built in. And if you go look at your annotations, you'll have your storage tier calculations that are available in Cloud Insights. And then you can look at that to do some math and some numbers that are out there. But we're really interested, one of the reasons we bring up power is we're really in listen mode, right? As we look across the world, right? In Europe, the United States, different places, different folks are looking at the math a little bit differently there. And so while we've got all the base information out there, and there are places where you can put in your storage tier costs and do some of the costing math, we're still listening to our customers to figure out exactly all the kinds of things that they want in their kind of built-in reports, as you were. The other thing to keep in mind about Cloud Insights is, well, we've got some features that are really cool, like Carbon. There's others. Some are on the pay-for version, like bully victim analysis, but all the versions, they have near real-time data. So we look at Cloud Insights, across all its heterogeneous things, can take data in up to real time, right? That's a fantastic feature. So if we're looking at something like EMS or some of the basic telemetry that comes in, it can come in pretty quick. Whether it's agentless or whether there's an agent on-prem, those are all pieces of that. The currency of the data in Cloud Insight is really useful, right? It's good for, a lot of customers, they don't want to wait forever to find out that they've got a problem. And Cloud Insights can tell you pretty quickly. So as soon as the data gets there, as soon as we send the data to Cloud Insights, it's processed, the alerts are raised, and there are, over 100 alerts that are in this initial version. They're all the big ones, for everything from power supply problems to performance problems. They're all there. They're editable, right? You can go see how we built them. There's no secrets here. We supply templates. So if you want to, if we don't, there's a basic set of alerts that we recommend that everybody turn on. Those are called our infrastructure alerts. And these are things that say, hey, your fan has stopped spinning, inside your machine, and you might want to do something before it gets hot, or your power supply blew up, or other infrastructure related issues that are out there. You want to make sure you have all that telemetry and you find out right away. We have other alerts that are in the system that are more subjective. If your volumes are running out of space, maybe your users will go clean those up. And so those are examples, right? You can turn them on or turn them off or customize them or change their scope at your leisure. But you might want to do that and turn that on for your corporate email server. So we've given you a bunch that we really think you should turn on, and they are our best practices. And that list is growing every month, right? Also, we get feedback from our customers making suggestions, so don't be shy about that. And then we give you a set of templates, which you can go customize. And based upon how your environment's set up, what kinds of switches are in your environment, what kind of latency you expect to be able to see, we show you how to make customizations like that if you choose to. But you don't have to. You don't have to do any of that. You turn on our basic set out of the box, and you should be pretty good. That's what we think most of our customers are likely to do. The folks who want to go tweak and do more, Cloud Insights is a very powerful tool for doing stuff with telemetry. There's a set of blog posts that are starting to talk about how we customize and how we do eventing and that sort of monitoring and that sort of stuff. We'll put links to those in the show notes where you can go find out more about how to build your own monitors.
It sounds like with a lot of these feature functionalities, there's a lot of opportunity to have tie-ins to other products in the portfolio. For example, you mentioned having best practice configuration and monitoring and alerts. Well, what about tying that into something like ActiveIQ's fix-it buttons, where you can actually set that best practice with a click of a button, as opposed to having to go and manually do it? Or for the power consumption.
ActiveIQ Unified Manager's fix-it buttons are very popular, very popular.
Yes.
It's one of Unified Manager's banner features. Given that popularity, you can assume that there's a lot of pressure for us to deliver that in the cloud.
I'm adding more pressure for you.
add more pressure away, but you don't have to add too much pressure. We love this idea. We love this feature. When it comes to making changes from the cloud, there's a lot of things that customers want to be involved in and talk about and that kind of stuff. So we want to do all those things in a mindful way. So we're having this conversation with customers, figuring out what the best ways to be respectful of their security is before we launch those features. But that set of features is very popular in Unified Manager, and very likely something that we would be paying very close attention to.
Yeah, and in that same vein, tying in with something like Cloud Secure for ransomware protection and alerting. What sort of
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
You look at Unified Manager's security dashboard, and it can tell you all kinds of things about your security disposition. We don't have that particular report in Cloud Insights yet, but the ability to then automatically fix something, right, like we could with Cloud Secure, that opens up a whole other path. So obviously, we're not here today to talk too much about features, but you are asking beautiful questions.
Yeah, and really, I'm just kind of fleshing out what I think customers would be asking for. And
I get it. Yeah, they could, they should, and we are listening.
And and to kind of circle back, because the power consumption thing to me was really interesting, and having a way to easily turn that into a bar chart or a graph for their boss, into a dollar comparison. In addition to that, tying it into something like Spot, right? Having the analytics of Spot and saying, hey, you're spending this much on-prem. This is how much you could save by going to the cloud for this workload.
Yeah. So again, that's another report. In Unified Manager on-prem helps you optimize your cluster, right? We can move things around we can keep your cluster balanced as it grows, right? So as it grows, it'll move your volumes around and make sure your different nodes in a larger cluster are all balanced and even. And it does that based on capacity and performance metrics within the system. Being able to do the same thing it also makes recommendations for cold storage, what to tier the cloud and to do different places. Great features in Unified Manager. They're there today. I would expect that you would, the features that we, as I said on our charter here is to bring those features from Unified Manager to Cloud Insights. So no promises, but stand by.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So given that we're looking at adding all these features from Unified Manager and ActiveIQ into Cloud Insights, the next logical question would be, does Cloud Insights eventually become the new de facto ActiveIQ Unified Manager? Do we have a need for an on-prem instance anymore? Or do we just use the Cloud Resident piece?
I think that Cloud Insights is compelling. And if you are looking to manage your on-prem assets or your cloud-based assets, which is something that Unified Manager doesn't do, you've got one product that can look at all of your ONTAP instances, whether it's CVO or whether it's an on-prem AFF, right? Great feature that, right? Everything in one tool. If you're looking to migrate from Unified Manager to Cloud Insights, there are large customers and small customers who have already made that call. So please check it out. Make that decision on your own. Check out what we bring to Cloud Insights every new month. And if there's things that are near and dear to you and you think really need to be there, again, that's what the show notes and the feedback is for. Go advocate for your favorite use case. Help us with our priorities. We think we know what's going on, but you guys are our customers and you should push us.
If the movement is to Cloud Resident and moving more things to the cloud, it makes a lot of sense to favor Cloud Insights over something like an ActiveIQ Unified Manager.
Well, we think Cloud Insights has some tremendous value over our on-prem assets, right? In this world that we live in where security has become such an issue, right? Having NetApp manage your system for you in the cloud is it's always having your product that's available to you always be up to date and always have the current features, right? These are things that our on-prem customers, these are taxes they have to pay. They have to pay for the equipment. They have to pay for the management of the equipment and the management of the software. Even when the software is free, when we give it away, that's still a big bill to pay over time, particularly for our larger customers. So we think that the cloud is a compelling use case for them. It offloads the work that they're doing. They get tremendous value from NetApp in these products.
Ed, I would chime in. There's a question about will it ever replace all of the on-prem installed software? So one of the areas where traditionally we've had a lot of on-prem installed softwares with government customers. And that's a space where we're investing in putting the Cloud Insights service through a certification called the FedRAMP certification. That's in process, and we are listed publicly on the FedRAMP marketplace. And what that really means is that once we complete that process, we would be certified for use by any U.S. government agency. And that is the path that we see most of the government customers transitioning to. They're moving from managing on-prem software on their own to delegating that to their vendors. And the path is through that program, FedRAMP, that puts us through really quite a ringer for security on the platform side for the Cloud Insights service. So
that's a benefit you get. That security tax you're paying for FedRAMP, that makes the whole product better, whether it's on FedRAMP or it's in the cloud, right?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. This is the difference between a technical director and a real product manager. We have Yossi. He can talk a little bit about those features. And so for the customers who, are on-prem and they're U.S. public sector and they've got certain dark site requirements, this is a tremendous opportunity for them, a way that they can get at this hosted deployment without, much like you would get in the main version of Cloud Insights in the cloud. So you don't have to do all the things you have to do for a unified manager deployment.
So aside from having to deal with the management of the on-prem instance and the upgrades and the patches and that sort of thing, what are some reasons why I would use Cloud Insights over something like Unified Manager or even something like Grafana?
Sure. Well, Grafana is a great tool too. I mean, Unified Manager is a great tool. They all kind of have their space, right? Grafana is, for people who use a tick stack solution, they maybe roll their own on site. It lets you build your own dashboards. But Cloud Insights also lets you build your own dashboards, right? Grafana you have to maintain on your own, and maybe it's not a big tax. Cloud Insights lets you not have to pay that bill. Cloud Insights is, it's got infrastructure for monitoring, over 100 different kinds of devices. They're all there. They're all out of the box. They're just a couple clicks to set up. And Grafana is really for those developers who want to build something bespoke on-prem that's very custom. So I don't want to take away anything that Grafana or our Harvest use cases have that are out there. We think our Harvest product is tremendous for people who are chasing that. But Cloud Insights is a lot of things you're never going to get there. So we're investing tremendously in AI Ops and Cloud Insights. So the predictions that we've got today, if you look in Cloud Insights or Unified Manager, they're both going to let you know when you're going to have a problem, right? So if we look at ONTAP Essentials and the new navigation that's out there, it comes with a dashboard that you get out of the box, and it comes with a bunch of places where you can take a deep dive through your components and say, show me all my volumes that have no data protection or aren't encrypted, or what's the anti-ransomware status of my volumes or my SVMs, right? There's all kinds of different views that are built in that you get out of the box that are built by NetApp, maintained by NetApp, with the expertise that we have. And those folks who are looking at Grafana, they're looking to roll their own, and that's great too, right? That's fantastic. You can roll your own in Cloud Insights with a managed platform that efficiently gets data. You don't have to maintain the infrastructure, or you can look at those other products that do that. But the AI Ops, you're not going to get the AI Ops that we deliver in a Harvest Grafana configuration. That's something that's unique to Cloud Insights, or to some extent Unified Manager.
And if I was to just chime in, the benefit of a service is that we're constantly refining and improving the machine learning models and all the back end of the AI Ops. And that's part of the service. Part of what you get with the service is that, and not having to deal with that on your own.
Yeah, Cloud Insights comes out every month or so. And the good news is I look forward, I don't see any boring releases coming out. Not only are we doing that technology that helps us, those audits and stuff on FedRAMP that helps us be secure, but, there's constantly new features and functions coming out of the app side and the other places, and they're all there. They come online, they're up and running. And that's also a little different than Grafana, a little different in that area. In that if you're building your own, you've got to keep pace, right? You've got to pay that constant development tax. Could be really good for some places, but we think that Cloud Insights is a pretty compelling out of the box maintained experience.
So the ONTAP Essentials, is that available for use today, or when was it released?
It is there today. So we are. It's by the time this podcast is live, it'll have been there for a while. So we previewed it. The early preview was in August, and it's the full features that we have for ONTAP Essentials went live on September 16th. So out the door and available. Probably by the time you see this, we'll be you looking at enhancements to it.
So if I were to use, say, the basic version of ONTAP Essentials to try it out, to see if I like it, then I decided I wanted to add more functionality, pay for a licensing piece of that. Is that something that's done where I don't have to get rid of my data that I've already collected? Can I just convert it?
That's correct. So that's both correct. So the basic experience, and we'll put some notes in the show notes to the blog pages that tell you how to get set up and started with Cloud Insights. But we basically recommend that you get started with a trial, so you can try all of it out, right? You can connect up your ONTAP equipment, you can connect up your compute equipment, whether that's VMware or Kubernetes. By the way, there's some basic includes some VMware functionality. If you want to look at your connectivity to VMware in the basic version, there is some support for that as well. Enough that you should be able to look at your storage and understand, is it the compute that's the problem, or is it the storage the problem? If the storage is there, there's going to be the storage problem. There's a ton of support for helping you out with that. If you're going to be doing Kubernetes or VMware all the time, you should maybe you want to look at the upgrade. But yeah, that's you get started with that trial where you can see everything, right? If you like the trial, you can sign up and get on board, and that's supported in the product. If you decide to go down to basic, anything that you've done that's beyond the scope of basic. So if you've got that Kubernetes system added in there, or that third-party array or something like that, I should mention, Cloud Insights acknowledges some of our customers have heterogeneous array environments, and it supports that. So not only can you manage your ONTAP systems, but you can manage other systems as well. So when you downgrade from the trial to basic, some functions will go away, and the only thing you would lose, right, is that there's a different level of data retention between the two. So you can't have years of data with the basic version. We'll keep a smaller quantum of data with the basic edition, so that any data above and beyond that would go away. But then you have all the features that are in ONTAP Essentials are still there. You can look at your NetApp equipment. You can monitor it. You'll get alerts. All the basic things are there.
So you mentioned heterogeneous storage environments. So other platforms are supported by Cloud Insights, I guess the paid version. What about other monitoring tools? What if I've got a SolarWinds in my environment? Or what if I've got a Cisco Intersight? Does it integrate with any of those? Can they share data, or is it just going to be something that's standalone from those?
We do integrate with other tools at NetApp, like Astra, for example. But there's no integration today with Cisco Intersight.
You mentioned Kubernetes and the ability to monitor that. And then you also kind of threw out there Astra. So what sort of integration does Cloud Insights have with an Astra control? Does it kick off
Astra's
backups?
a great product. It's out there. It's focused on helping you protect your applications, right? Give you application data protection. A fantastic product, does a lot of cool things. And one of the things that it didn't need to do is it didn't need to create its own monitoring and learning solution, because we've got that in Cloud Insights. Cloud Insights can help you visualize Astra's Kubernetes environment, understand if you've got problems. Cloud Insights can help you visualize the storage environment that you've got, whether you're using on-prem based storage or cloud-based storage, and understand if you have any issues there. If you do, those alerts show up in Cloud Insights, and they'll also show up in Astra's Alert Console as well. So you don't have to leave where you are. You can see right in Astra your storage backend screens or from your Kubernetes screens if you've got issues with your environment.
And what sort of issues would they be looking for? Is it, nodes that are down, or is
Sure. It could be. It could be as simple as you've got a persistent volume in an application that's running out of space or performance, so it's seeing a slowdown, right? Or it could be some sort of an infrastructure problem. Whatever problem we're reporting, if it's related to your Astra environment, it carries down, and we make sure you know about it.
And is Cloud Insights QoS aware? Like, so if I've got a QoS policy and it says I'm going to limit this to 50,000 IOPS,
you can go to, if you look at the built-in navigation and go to our infrastructure, look at the volumes. There's a way to there's a menu option to say, hey, show me what's going on from a QoS perspective. It's right there. You can understand which QoS policies are in play and see all that.
Yeah, because that's important, right?
We don't yet have if you're a unified manager customer, we don't yet have the recommendations on how to adjust your QoS policies yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's important because when you have a performance issue and you're not aware that there's QoS policies, right?
There are a lot of performance information, though, that we do give you in Cloud Insights today. So we'll let you know if your controller is on track to not be able to service the volumes that are out there, right? So if your rates of growth, if your rates of volume growth or just growth in performance of your consumption of your volumes is increasing, it will say, hey, dude, you got 30 days, right, before you have a problem, or 75 days. And then you're going to start to see some performance slowdowns in these controllers, right? And it makes some recommendations about how you can proceed. But maybe you need to buy, more equipment or whatever. So there is a future prediction out there on that performance side in Cloud Insights today.
Yeah, and I was really mainly talking about the QoS piece, right? So like if I've limited my volume to 50,000 IOPS, and as a storage administrator, I'm not aware that there's a policy out there, and my users are saying, man, I got a performance problem, and I open up Cloud Insights, and I take a look at that controller, and it's not doing anything, right? It's like, oh, what's going on? There's nothing wrong with this. Knowing that information about the QoS policy in place helps narrow down those performance issues, because then you can say, oh, this QoS policy is actually my culprit because we've set this on purpose. We need to maybe increase it.
You can definitely look at the QoS policies in Cloud Insights today and run down and find that. I think one of the places that you best see some similar information is in the upgraded version and some of the belief victim analysis stuff when we're trying to do root cause analysis on performance issues. We don't yet have the workload analyzer that you would see in Unified Manager that would help you very quickly get to some of that. Right now, it's a little bit manual in Cloud Insights right now.
Okay. All right. So walk me through some of the use cases you've seen out there, not just for Cloud Insights, but for ONTAP Essentials. Are other people already using this? How are they liking it? What are they using it for?
We've had some tremendous feedback in the limited time that it's been out there. The big pieces of feedback have been, number one, I can see my cloud-based assets and my on-prem assets from one tool. That's a big deal, right? And customers really appreciate that. Unified Management, it doesn't support the cloud-based assets, right? Cloud Insight supports both. And so right away off the bat, we received a bunch of feedback. We've actually received a lot of feedback about enhancements we can make in that space as well. So that's been positive. The other thing that users have come back and done is they said, we love the alerts that you've got in the product, and here's several more that you should have as well. And so, some of our really larger customers have been fairly vocal about, look, I'd like to, this is a monitor that I use for FSX or CVO or even AFF. And we think you should include it as well. And so we've got this forum now, we've got this community now that's delivering us some of those feedback. And these are things that you're going to see start to grow very rapidly as we move forward. So more monitors, more suggestions for monitors. That's very popular. There are suggestions for dashboards, because the other thing is you can build all these things yourself, right? And we're finding that as you get into market niches or as you get into different areas, the experts in those fields, they're vocal, right? And they talk to us and share with us their opinions. And so it's wonderful to have that kind of community feedback. Yossi, I think you've also gotten some feedback from customers that's been really interesting. Do you want to share some?
Yeah. So we have an internal group at NetApp that's managing a lot of ONTAP systems across the world, and they had made the decision to transition to Cloud Insights earlier this year, before some of the ONTAP Essentials features were even available to them as a preview. Right, we released certain features to early adopter customers a month or two ahead of time. But for them, the core value was the ability to customize the alerts, being able to take some of the default monitors that we have and make them their own, as well as identify specific, error conditions that get reported through ONTAP EMS, and be able to add that to the alerts in their environment. And I think that the thing I like the most is what we've done around self-service there. Right, where you look after you see an example of two of how it's done through the built-in defaults, it's very straightforward to add some of these alerts on your own, which is what that internal customer had done.
That reminds me of one of the pieces of feedback we got. I had a customer say, Cloud Insights really very powerful. It's got some wonderful features out there, and some of them I never completely spent the time to go learn. But these out-of-box things that you've given us have taught me how to use some of them. And now I'm more self-sufficient on my own. I can go use some of these advanced features in ways that I didn't know before. And so the way we've delivered some of our content helps to teach you to use queries or monitors or other features inside Cloud Insights so that you can do next order of things on your own. It's not uncommon for a customer to come back and say, oh, I saw all these things. Now can you do this? Right? Well, now can you do this step? Right? A lot of those can be self-fulfilled, right by the customer all by themselves, right? And we love it when people give us feedback, because if we can incorporate it into the product, we will. But being able to self-fulfill, that's a fantastic.
Well, and especially one of the pieces of feedback is if a customer comes up with an ingenious way to monitor a condition and builds that monitor, we can then pull that out of their Cloud Insights service instance, and share it with everybody. Right. So this is a situation with community wisdom. Go ahead.
You have a good story about that. Do you want to talk about what happened with that policy?
Yes. So F policy is a technology in ONTAP to track the consumption, the file access and metadata, and it's used a lot for ransomware protection as well as for auditing. But that's not the topic that I'm going to cover. It's really, sometimes customers will deploy solutions, and these solutions sometimes misconfigure the monitoring of F policy and just put a huge load on the ONTAP system to the level where performance just sucks. And so we had a customer with such a condition, and so we added some of those F policy performance counters to Cloud Insights and built a dashboard that allowed us to correlate the load on the clusters, the F policy usage, and the actual I/O on the VMs hosting that third-party solution that was monitoring and auditing ONTAP. And it literally helped the customer identify, they had these solutions, it's almost like an antivirus, right? They have sort of updates pushed to them from the vendor almost daily. And a bad update can cause them to configure ONTAP to do too much work, to send too much information. And this dashboard allowed them to, in a 10-second glance, told them the whole picture because they had all the right information in one place in front of their eyes.
Yossi brings up the other wonderful truism of Cloud Insights when we compare it to Unified Manager. Cloud Insights ships every month. We can talk to a customer, have a dialogue with them, understand their problem, add some data to Cloud Insights, release a dashboard, problems fixed. Our release cadence for some of our products that are on-prem products is not every month. It's a longer period. And so our ability to service certain kinds of customer requests is much greater. That's a wonderful thing for our dialogue with customers in general. The second thing, Yossi, I was gonna put you on the spot again. One of the things that we do in Cloud Insights is we also have the trial product features and functions with customers. So as we're building new features, we will work with customers and share them with them before they get out into the general product. So we call these feature flags, and we'll turn them on for a given tenant. We'll get some feedback, we'll polish it before we bring it out to the general market. You want to talk at all about that and how customers, maybe if they wanted to participate, how would they go about signing up?
It would be as simple as dropping a note to either you or me, or reaching out to their salesperson who can find the right person within NetApp. But to sign up, they would first and foremost need to start by actually having a service instance, creating a Cloud Insights instance for themselves. That's a process that takes about 15 minutes. And then adding some of their ONTAP systems or other NetApp systems as well. I'll just, to full disclosure, Basic Edition supports StorageGrid, E-Series, any NetApp storage is included within that. We are focused on ONTAP today. And once they have that environment, we can do a number of things. If they're looking to work with us on a specific item, we can share with them some new dashboards by loading them into their environment. We can share new monitors by loading them into their environment, no new code necessary. We can also deploy modifications to the data collection to bring in additional metrics. So that as well, if a customer wants to monitor a specific condition and it requires another metric or two, that can also easily be done. So we have the flexibility to work hand in hand and literally in the matter of days and weeks, have prototypes out there for specific customer scenarios.
Cool. One of the things I wanted to also spend a minute to focus on was logs. So we've talked about monitoring, right? We can monitor metrics, we can monitor logs. And in both cases, we have synthetic values that get inserted in there. We have synthetic metrics. That might be like something that looks at a volume and figures out how long till it's full. And it publishes a metric that says, you got this long, so many days until you're full. But we also have synthetic logs, right? So we look at the data as it comes in and we create a change log. So you can see what's changed on your system over time. Our base ONTAP Essentials product creates visualizations for all these for you. But if you fall out and you go over the observability portion of the product, you can also go take a look and you can issue queries against them. So you can go look at your ONTAP system and see what's been changing over time. And maybe you want to monitor that and say, hey, if somebody turns a volume from thick to thin, or turns off dedupe, or does that kind of thing. These are the different kinds of states that I want to watch for in my environment that may be specific to your company's goals, or you just want to know what happened, right? Go check out those change logs, check out the endless logs that are there. You can bring in logs so if you're a Kubernetes customer, and you're connected up with Astra, and you're going to see your Kubernetes event logs in there. You're going to see pod logs and other things that come along as well. So check out the log monitoring that's in there. Check out the log queries that are there. Go take a look at some of those functions. So do check out our log monitoring. Do check out metric monitoring. You can build dashboards using these tools. You can build all kinds of visualizations. It can really help you with a lot of interesting problems. But this again is falling out to that optional portion of the product. It's very powerful.
Anything else we want to cover before we wrap it up?
We said real time. We said customizable everything. We said AIOps. We said on-prem and cloud assets, right? Agentless, SaaS, carbon counting. I think we've covered all the buzzwords here, Justin. I really thank you for having us.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Yep, thanks for coming on and talking to us about it. Again, if we wanted to reach you, Ed, how do we do that?
Again, it's edward.barron. That's B as in boy, ARRON as in Nancy, at netapp.com. I'll be happy to answer questions.
And Yossi.
Yossi.weihs. You can find me on LinkedIn, or you can email me at NetApp, joseph.weihs. Weihs is spelled W-E-I, then H like Harry, S like Sam, at netapp.com.
All right, that music tells me it's time to go. If you'd like to get in touch with us, send us an email to podcast@netapp.com or send us a tweet @netapp. As always, if you'd like to subscribe, find us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or via TechOnTapPodcast.com. If you like the show today, leave us a review. On behalf of the entire Tech on Tap podcast team, I'd like to thank Yossi.weihs and Ed Barron for joining us today. As always, thanks for listening.
Oh, yeah.
Is it just me that's getting off on this?
Oh, yeah.